Hello. Hello, and welcome. Oh, I'm getting some feedback. Just give me a moment. Okay, that should sort that. Okay, that's much better. So, I've been trying to work a lot on optimizing my Space Engineers. I've moved it onto my SSD drive, and it loads about 5 times faster, which has helped a lot. I put the graphics settings down a little bit as well, and also done some other mods reducing the bitrate. So hopefully the stream should be a bit smoother, because I also have some fairly hardware intensive stages to play through today. And the first thing that we have on our stream today is going to be the SES Super Destroyer Herald of Wrath. And I'm going to be throwing that against 3 automaton frigates. So that should be an interesting battle. So I'll review that, do that fight, and that should be good. After that, I want to show some of the results of my fighter factories, because I decided to do a little bit of a stress test with them. I set for the factories to work, to start building fighters, and then I went away for a few hours to see how long it would take for my computer to crash. And when I came back, surprisingly, it hadn't crashed at all. What I came back to was, well, the fighters were all told to go gather at a waypoint, and so they'd always get as close to that waypoint as they could and then park. So coming back after several hours, what greeted me was something I can only describe as a small moon of fighters. And hopefully able to show you some of that as well. I was able to fly a ship into it to watch it be destroyed as well, which is also quite good fun. So hopefully we'll have a go with that too. And after that, what I originally wanted to do for the third segment was to have just 3 or 4 factories running and constantly producing rocket fighters and sending them against the Herald of Wrath. But it consistently produced crash results. The hardware couldn't take it. So I am thinking that I'll try to optimize the factories next. I've already done some progress on this in trying to have the factories build a ship using just 1 welder. Although I haven't quite finished the logic on them yet, but I'll be very happy to show you the new variation of that. And then after that, I'll attempt to set up a factory battle fight, so you can have endless fighters in combat. We'll see whether that works or not. And finally, as a bit of inspiration, I'm wanting to create a multi-torpedo cluster. And well, I'll talk about that when we get to it, I think. But basically, taking 9 torpedoes and 27 torpedoes and putting them into a cube shape so they're easy to print. And then we then launch the cube, which will then scatter into 27 separate missiles. That's what I'm hoping to create. So that will be at the end. For now, let's get started. I need a moment just to load into my Space Engineers. Okay, and there we are. So here we have it, the SES Herald of Wrath. If I can just get myself in. And this ship was created by Sevrys. It's 10,000 blocks. It's about 40,000 PCU, so it is quite hefty. Sevrys is very well known. He's been making ships on Space Engineers for at least 6 years. He's got about 100 ships contributed onto the Steam Workshop. So he's by far one of the most experienced ship designers out there. And seeing his creations is always a joy, and this is absolutely no exception. Before you ask, sadly it does not have any working hell pods. I do know that some Space Engineers are already keenly working away on trying to get a system produced. But for this particular ship, Sevrys says it in his description, he's focused it purely on vanilla, no mods, and all of that. I believe there is a second version, which has a bit more functionality, but it's very, very mod heavy. And I prefer to do stuff with just the base vanilla, so I'll be having a go with this. This is the one I've chosen to go through. Let's see, anything else to add on? I think that's all the disclaimers to put out. So without further ado, we'll go and take a look. So first, taking a look at the front, you can see we have some sensor arrays along here, some lighting, and we have 5 large grid railguns stuck inside. And we have 2 forward cameras to assist with aiming on that. You can also see he's got the beautiful trimmings along the top here, as well as the additional light structures there. Absolutely fantastic. Also see you've got the heat vents hiding in there, so as the ship uses up power, those will glow orange, is the way this has been set. You can also see he's got those vents there. This one seems slightly the wrong way, but that's fine. It really does, but that's fine. So you got some nice yellow trimming along there just to break up the hull pattern shape. And again, we got here. This is something I always really love to see. You can see here, I think one of the most useful sort of decorating blocks, the chairless desk. It's always kind of humorous to me. It's always, when I always see this, for me it's always a sign of an experienced space engineer. Where I always imagine a group of space engineers looking at their ship and saying, this armor plating isn't quite right. It just doesn't have that certain je ne sais quoi. What do I need to complete the look? And so they start looking around saying, oh, we got this armor block, we got these thrusters, we got this, and then someone points to the corner and says, hey, what about that writing desk over there? And I was like, yeah, that looks about the right shape. Then I imagine there's a whole bunch of space engineers coming along with all these desks and just like sellotaping them onto the ship with a whole bunch of chewing gum and duct tape. And they all stand back at it and look at it, like stroking their chins like, ah, yes, there we go. Look how the sun casts shadow so gloriously across its surface. In fact, let's move the sun around a little bit. So you can actually see that shadow effect working there. So you can see it just adds an extra sort of layer of shadow going across there. So it's a really nice way to add detailing. So every time I see that, it always pleases me. I always find it kind of funny as well. Let's see. Next up, we have also got the neon tubes there. Very nice to use these as a separate element. It's a very good style there. Further down, the whole ship runs through ion thrusters. It's going to bring the sun around so we can see this part of the ship a little bit better. There we are. Take a look at the underside. So as you can see, we have 2 massive cannons here. I absolutely love the use of the hinge parts to give that kind of magazine feel. Really helps to replicate the game. The custom turret has some upwards elevation and downwards elevation of both, which is really nice to see. The hinge here is very, very exposed though. So when I do a combat test, this will get shot and destroyed very, very quickly. I did do some modifications to make a combat variant of this. And in my combat variant, I was debated putting extra armor along there to try and shield that a bit, but decided not to in the end because it just kind of ruined the aesthetic too much. Then further back, we got 2 additional cannons. We have the external bridge at the back here. We got some venting. But I also really love what he's done here. So we can see here we got the conveyor pipe cap on there. And if I just move the sun around to put it into the shadow a little bit, you can see how that glows. But it's not actually a light source. It's just that he's used these sparks of the future skin on it to give it that neon glow to make a pseudo light. Really stylishly done. Just adding in extra kind of paneling on there just to really add to it. Another major feature as well. It's got the Herald of Wrath as its name on both sides, and it has the interior blocks behind so that it lights up beautifully in the shadow. Let's get the sun around on that, move it into shadow, and there you can see it glowing gloriously in the name of democracy. We have some armored sections here. This is the standard entrance. Normally this is where you would come into the ship. A bit more on that later when we get to the inside. We've got some hangars across the side here, and they're sensor based. It's got the sensor at the top there. So you can go in. When you come out, it'll detect and go down again. Very smooth. Then we have these wings here on the side with a little bit of extra engine support. Can't describe how beautiful this is. I also love the way he's done this kind of ribbing along here. Just getting these little scales out, putting that gap there. Because you can see how it creates that additional line of shadow. And it's one thing that really helps to make a ship kind of stand out and give it that more kind of realistic feeling to it. Helps to get rid of the brickiness that you can often find with space engineer builds. Beginning here. Not even sure what I'm looking at in there. But again, some fantastic light sourcing going on. There's panels behind vertical windows, I believe. In the back, you can see the engine systems I love the way he surrounded these with those pipe works. It just creates an absolutely amazing aesthetic to it. And we got much the same on the other side. Going up on the top, we got the panel up here. Got a distress beacon for activating later. And we got the upper turret as well. There's 4 artillery turrets on this. You got 1 on the top, and then you got 3 on the bottom. You also got this wonderful paneling, reflective paneling across there. Just do a flyby because that's always nice to see. Swoosh. Doing the old Star Trek shot. Not Star Trek, Star Wars shot. Empire's 4. Empire Strikes Back. Anyway, where are we? Next. So that's the overside. Next on the underside, you can see we have quite a lot of upthrust, which is useful for evasion. Testing this out in combat, I found that just quite wasn't enough to evade enemy projectiles. But with a ship this large, you're not really going to expect to be doing that, not without a lot of hydrogen burning. More engines across there. There's the first, there's the lower artillery to support the other 2 at the front. And we looked at this section before. So without further ado, we'll go and check out the interior. Actually, before we go to this hangar, I'm just going to go in through the main door. So when you enter the game onto Helldivers 2, this would be where you spawn. Sadly, there isn't a cyclical cryo chamber to come out of. We got something equivalent with here. He's just working within the confines of the game, and it's still fantastic. So here we come in as a player, we would come up here. And on the right, you can see you've got the engineering bay. So once you get your samples and you upgrade that, and the door there opens, and you can see this to upgrade as your turrets upgrade. And then over here, further on the left, we got the place where we can buy our upgrades with upgrades, and we can watch the brash tactics. And behind us, we have a small common room over here. We got the main hangar. There's also 2 sort of extra things here that are very easy to miss if you do take this in. First is that we have a reactor room here at the back. Wait for the automatic doors to open. You can see we have lots of gyros, lots of thrusters. We've got 3 large reactors pumping out the power that the ship needs for its railguns and engines. And one thing I particularly really like in his design style is what he's done here. So often with gyroscopes, you want them to be placed onto a solid and sturdy block. And the passageway blocks we have here are quite strong, but he's put them inverted, so he's actually using the gyroscopes down there to kind of make the floor of a passageway, which is incredibly creative. I definitely want to try implementing that into some of my own builds later on. But other than that, there's not too much to see other than the jump drives. Oh, trying to figure out how we can get out. And the next element of the ship we have is up here, where we have a number of common rooms. We'll be investigating, and there's also the serve room up there as well. So we'll be investigating that in a moment. But let's take a look at the main play area to begin with. So after the shopping area, we could move forward. And then we get to the armory. We could spend our medals and upgrade our guns and such. It's another cool thing I just want to show quickly. We do actually have additional blast doors for sealing in oxygen and compartmentalizing the ship, so that you don't have to worry too much about oxygen leakage, as holes will be blasted through the hull. So we can secure the ship like that as well, which is always a nice feature to see. And finally, we have the main bridge. On the right, we have the CIC, some command consoles down there, and a really fantastic details added in. You can activate emergency lighting on here as well, which is always really cool. Over here we have a programmable block, and this contains whip's mouse aim script, which is used for aiming the large custom turret that we have under the ship with the railguns. It also has dedicated seats on it here. I'll go through those a little bit later on the next ship. As we go forward to central area here, before that, in the Helldivers 2 game, On the left here, you would have a magazine, a belt of hell pods coming across here to be loaded into the front and just to be shot out, to shoot out the hell pods like human bullets down to the ground below. It really, for me, it's just one of those really nice small details in that game that really shows you the kind of the way that the Helldivers are perceived, where they're literally just shot out of a gun like they're magazine fed. Quite incredible. Then we got our scanner here, console here, we could normally see where the war theater is going, how the war theater is going on. And finally we have an additional control seat here, giving us the iconic view from the front of the Helldivers SES ships. And so that's it for this section. There's one last final section to go through, and it's a little bit discreet. I played with this ship for quite a while before I actually realized that there was additional rooms. There's actually this ship is in 2 decks. We got the lower deck here, and there's this upper deck above. And you'd be surprised as how to find it, but as we're going through here into the engineering bay, the way up is actually this corridor here where we have this ladder. We'll just go squeeze in there and head up to the top. And here we are in the not the server room. This is their preparing area. I think we have got some lockers, got some reading material. Always nice to see. Love the way it's done. Putting the cap on the cylinder there is a really nice touch. Oh, and the rotors. I was looking for this rotor. I was looking through the system components list, and I saw a random rotor. I'm like, where is that rotor? What does it do? I have to know. And I couldn't find it. But here it is, and it's used as part of this to create that storage facility there. So moving up here, we are then in the server room. So we have a whole bunch of programmable blocks here. Most of these function, most of the scripts in these blocks help us to see the power usage going through the ship. This shows the power usage over 8 days, apparently. Fantastic. And this also flickers around and keeps changing, so it shows different stuff. Very cool. From here, we can observe over into the hangar. There's got some buttons here. They're not functioning. That's fine, though. Some more observation. And we got the 2 defensive AIs there. Although I believe these are primarily aesthetic. I'm not even sure if any of them are turned on. Going through next, we just have a little back to our corridor room. Over here on the left, got a little rest area, got a vending machine. It's a nice little place to chill out. Get up on my light. We got some lockers, got just a general sitting area. And over here we have the medical bay. Got a bed for sick patients. Got the medical equipment. Not anything, but not showing anything. Odd. Next, I think it's pretty much it, other than the actual medical room itself. And moving further and deeper into the upper deck, as you can see, we have along here. I really like the way he set up these barracks, just having these half blocks set up. Very, very efficient. Get a large amount of crew into a very small space. And of course, we've also got a little bit of an eating area as well. We grab some drinks from the side, a sink, washing our hands, and then we got the kitchen here at the back. If I remember correctly, there are also some toilets somewhere as well. I'm trying to remember. Here they are. And over here, we've also got other living materials. We've got our shower, a place to get changed, and then also, of course, the bathrooms as well. And that's it for the inside of the ship, as well as the outside. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you the other ship that I have here. And I am going to set this up in battle against 3 automaton-controlled frigates in a glorious battle for democracy, which are hiding over there. I'll activate them in a moment. But before that, I have made the ship that's built here isn't really designed for combat, so I've just designed it purely to be aesthetic. So I have put on a few minor modifications just as quality of life. So I decided to add in an extra armored camera on the front because the 2 here can be shut off by forward shots quite quickly. I also added in some additional rocket launchers across there. And I also added in a little bit of PDC. So we have 1 custom turret on the bottom down there. I've also added 3 more custom turrets on the top. Most of the internals are largely the same. The only thing I really added was the cockpit here, which is a little bit ugly, I must confess, but it's just the safest place to put it, really. Because having the main command at the front, it doesn't take long for this glass and this command console to be destroyed. They do have a secondary, more secure one down here, but even then, it's still a little bit too close to the outside of the hull. So I have that one back there, set up in reserve. So I'm going to go shut this blast door, because we are going to be going into battle very, very soon. I did 2 tests for this battle. One of them I lost, and the other one I just managed to win. So it's a fairly close battle, and we have to see how it progresses. So I think we can get about started. Just going to check that the antenna is on. It is not. The antenna is now on. Broadcasting 11. That looks good. And we'll just go control our drone over here. So here we have our opponents, the RBF frigates. So these will be our automaton adversaries today. And they're featuring 7 assault cannons. And they got fairly sturdy interiors because these are designed purely to be attack drones. So they will present quite a huge threat. They're very powerful medium-range fighters. Medium-range frigates, I should say. And without further ado, I think we can begin. So we'll get started. The amount of firepower that these 3 ships have is quite significant. And if I let them stay in close range of me, they will rip the Herald of Wrath apart. So I'm going to have to be very, very cautious about how I engage them. One big advantage I do have over these ships is jump drives. And I also have lots of rail cannons with long reloads. So I think a key to this battle is going to be to pull off a large number of railgun shots to see if I can disable some of their turrets, and to then jump away, give my railguns a chance to reload, and then jump back and give them a fresh volley. I have to get back to my ship, and let's find where our enemies are. Getting a little bit of skip frames there, but so far running sufficiently smoothly. A little bit of wobbly movement. We'll go see if we can get the Mart turret rolling. I want to get the shots from this off first. Oh, this is going to be quite going how I want it to. Just got to lock these in and just manually aim them. Oh, our first is about to come into range. A little bit wobbly on this. We're ready in close combat. Oh, I'm outside the console. Trying to land some shots on these turrets here. Already got some debris in front of me. Oh, not going too well. What guns have I got left? I've already lost one, it seems. That's all we got for the moment. Let these guys get too close. They are going to start taking out some of my railguns. I think they've crippled one already. I may have to try to resort to jumping out for a bit of a reprieve. Are they firing on me? They must be firing on me. I've taken damage. Certainly I'm firing at them. I'll check the ownership of the ship. That's correct. Oh, definitely taking damage. Okay, they're a little bit too close for my liking, so I'm going to warp away for a little bit, do a blind jump. They'll return. See how the cannons are doing. Actually got one of the shots set up already. And I got damage on one of the railguns. While we're over here, I'm going to go see if I can get that repaired quite quickly. inspect our damage. We can see we got quite some flickering going on here. It's down at 8%. That's almost completely broken. I'm being a little bit judicious playing this on creative, but I'll take it for now. I need every advantage I can get because the frigates are reasonably strong. Alright, let's head back to the battlefield and see if we can get some more shots in. Ooh, this is a bit difficult to access the front cockpit there. Oof, you can already see we already got some gaps taken in there. We'll see how long this can last. Okay, and I'll get this, and we're going to warp back to the combat point. Jump destination, blind jump. No. I want to warp to the defense point. Okay, 8 seconds, and we'll be back in. I have to get my combat systems ready. 6th railgun almost recharged, and the ships are right in front. There they are. They're turning to face. Seems they've started to lock on. Oof, taking a lot of fire here. Try and get the ship up. I'm going to deactivate the rotors on the custom turrets, and I'll be able to turn the ship much more easily. Some distance might be able to kill some kind of defensive fire, because I do have a range advantage over these ships. Just waiting for the artilleries to get more shots off. I'm targeting the ship over there, even though I'm locked onto this one. I'll have to give them a command to target. Just focusing on my fire here. Count to 75%. So we can get some more shots off. You can see that turret there is almost being completely knocked out. I think I got the got one of the turrets direct there. It's a nice shot in. The enemy completed their lock and they're returning fire on me. Should probably try and position my ship so I can get my turrets firing both above and below. Get to close combat, I'm able to get the PDCs working as well. Also get some rocket strikes in. I have more close range firepower on the top of the ship than on the bottom, so I'm going to see if I can rotate this so we get all of our firepower working at the same time. We're taking quite a few damage here. We can see pieces of the ship ripping off and coming to the side there. And that ship's backed away out of my close combat range. I've lost one of my forward railguns. Got more chunks of ship flying off. And I seem to have lost my forward cameras, so I'm going to have to do this blind, possibly. I'll wait for the lock and I'll try and give him an extra salvo. I've only got 4 forward turrets left, firing to the sun here. Actually, this guy's really close. Oh. Getting some issues. Can I track him? I think I have just enough movement to. Getting a few railgun hits in here. So we've lost the front part of our armor, spaced armor is being ripped off there. Waiting whether to jump or not, just whether to let the turrets do their work. That ship over there is 1.7. He's actually out of his own gun range. So he's actually not a threat to me anymore. I'm lucky to have disabled his engines. But these ships have quite a lot of redundancy. That ship's there is only 1,100 away. I'll see if I can get to close range. If I can accelerate towards him a bit. I'm just salvoing towards my engines on me. There we go. Getting some close range fire on. Seem to only have 2 close range turrets left. Oh, I'm to evade some shots there, that's nice. Oh, have I lost the upper artillery? No, it's focused on another target. See if I can get a lock on this guy. It's right in front of me, just going to close in again. The Herald of Wrath. Actually got my railguns loaded. I've got 3 left. See if I can give them a fresh salvo. See, I'm on 4, 5, and 6. Just have to aim for center mass. That was a miss, apparently. I think all 3 of those went over or under. Oof. He's putting a lot of shots to the very front and the tip of the ship, which I don't really want him to do because I want to try and keep those railguns up for as long as I can. Is my lower PDC around? No, it's not. Seem to have lost a little point defense on the lower part side of the ship. Lost the rocket turrets. I do still have 1 close range turret in the top though. It will only engage at 600 meters. Oof, trying to get my ship turned around, but it's tricky. I was going to get my underside facing because I have more artillery turrets on the underside. I'm going to have something of a pseudo ram and try and get close and do a drive-by. Yep, connecting with my railgun shots. I don't want to ram him with the front of the ship because I'll lose all my railguns if I do that. Well, that said, I do only have 2 railguns left. I see a lot of smoke trailing out. Oh dear. I may have taken that, quite a lot of gyroscopes in the front of the ship. You can see them lined up there. As those get destroyed, it's going to weaken the ability of the ship to turn. Although that said, as more of the hull gets peeled off, the ship will get lighter. So the forward cannon's firing. We've lost one of the lower artillery turrets. It's unfortunate. We're now sort of entering the end phase, where both of the ships are quite badly mauled. In fact, I've lost all of the... I think I've lost all of the forward railguns completely. So there's no reason not to give them a good old ram, I think. Let's see how this progresses. Something exploded. He looks far worse for wear. Tripped out the front of his ship. See if we can go back for another pass. Got the artillery turrets turning to aim there. Landing some good hits on him. See if I can get a rotate around. This is the only ship left. If the other ships went out of targeting range, they may have gone to the defense point. But I've got the advantage of taking this guy on one-on-one. I'll definitely do it. Oof, we can see we've actually lost almost half of the rear thrusters there. See if we can evade some of those forward shots. I'm moving at full speed, but so is he. He's retreating from full speed, so my charge is never going to connect. Oh, unless he tries to make a turn, it lets me in. There we go. Bringing the Wrath to him. That ship looks quite done. Give him a few more volleys. I'll probably try jumping to the defense point. Oh, shooting behind. Is there a ship behind us? I don't see any. I think my upper turret may have been shooting at some loose debris. I'm sure there's some extra cameras on this. Actually, I could try using the direct artillery controls. Let's go find artillery. Get one of them, throw that to control. Which is this? This is the upper turret. That will do. Not going so well. More pieces of the ship slowly peeling off. There's also one ship behind me, so I'm actually currently flanked. Let's see if we can get a ram on this guy's wing. There we go. Get some shots into his thruster systems. Oh. See if we can keep him there and hold him in place. You can see these huge holes going through that ship. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's quite wrecked. I mean, look at that. The hydrogen tank at the back's clearly burst. In fact, I suspect he may have no fuel at all. Let's take a quick look. Does he have any active thrusters? Doesn't look like it. Okay, that's one absolutely done. I'm going to take the jump drives. I'm going to go back to the defense point. Because that guy is dead. There's no point engaging him any further. We've lost about 20% of the front of the ship. Let's see if there's any fighters behind us waiting for us. And there is. There's him 11 kilometers away over there. And there's one over here as well. This guy's probably going to be fairly fresh because he left targeting range. And so he stopped attacking me. So he went back to the defense point. There's also that third ship that was chasing me. And that will again come back here to the defense point. You can see this ship 3 kilometers away. I've got 2 kilometers range on my gun, so I'm going to get a little bit closer before I can engage him. Let's turn off my initial dampeners, go see how he is. I can always use the artillery as a camera. Where's Ford? Here we go. Gee, he's looking pretty ruined as well. The entire front of his ship's gone. Wasn't the ship I was talking before, was it? Okay, so artillery's doing the job. Main thing here is to alternate between the top and bottom turrets. He's still rotating around. I'm not sure if he still has thrust though. I'll try and get the lower artillery on him. Oh, actually moved out of gun range. He's not moving in to come and attack me, so I'm assuming that his engines are pretty much toast. I'm not seeing anything there. Are both his hydrogen tanks gone? Might be. I think he's dead in the water. I'm not seeing the third frigate either. I think they may have all been disabled. I believe there should be one out there which is still combat capable. I'll have to go check on it. In any case, the Herald of Wrath certainly seen better days. Surprisingly, the command bridge has stayed mostly intact, which is very nice to see. There are a lot of advantages to having a very, very long ship. Even though moving at full speed, that frigate's only getting closer very slightly. So I believe he's dead, drifting through space at high velocity, away from me. I'll give one more dramatic ram to finish, and then I think we'll be done with this battle. Crunch. Yep, and he's definitely out of hydrogen or something. You can see him drifting away. So all I have to do is stop. I've hit him like a bowling pin, now he's going to fly off into space forever. Although that said, I don't seem to be decelerating. Or I am decelerating, but very, very slowly. I've pretty much lost complete control of the ship. So all I have to really do is flip and burn, I think. So I'm really going to get any kind of slowdown. And so that's it. I believe the battle is concluded. The SES Herald of Wrath has managed to bring democracy into this section of space and to clear the way for future Helldivers. I'm going to give a quick jump back to the point. Both jump drives still intact, which is nice. I'll take a quick look around and see the battle damage that we've got going on. Oh, I can't warp there because I'm too close, apparently. I just want the ship to come to a stop. Or just let it drift. I guess that's also fine. Let's go around. So let's take a look at our command bridge. Command bridge is... it's got some extra ventilation. You know, just in case you're feeling a bit hot. I'm missing a couple windows across here. But the main control sections are still... being held together by a little piece of string, it seems. Oh, a bit of freezing on there. Got some smoke coming in. About to turn on the emergency lighting, which is probably very desperately needed. Let's see, Hellpod side seems good. Turret controls are completely gone. Lost both the consoles. I'm pretty sure the turret snapped off quite early on in the fight, as tends to be. That's very standard for custom large grid. Actually, this is it. Amazingly, the hinge itself is still here, but the rest of the turret is not. Well, at least it's easier to access the bridge now. Let's see. Most of our programming and servers still seem to be fine. Got something underneath the boards here is smoking away. Got additional holes here. Broken some of our gangplank. Still have access to our armory. Get to our war bonds. Oh, I forgot to close these doors. I intended to do that. Hangar, it seems... Well, the way to the hangar seems largely good. Entrance is fine. Got our cryo chamber for fresh Helldivers is in good condition, it seems. Common room looks a-okay. Engineering bay is it's only slightly on fire and aerated as well. Surprised relatively well. Now they're out of combat, we can take some time to open these blast doors. And we got a few more holes in our hangar. Mind your step. Let's see. Oof, lost one of the hangar doors. No. Oh, we still have it. We just left it open by mistake. Reactor room at the back of the ship should hopefully be fairly safe and in good order. But we did take quite a lot of fire to the back of the ship. You can see they've been aiming quite a lot of the thrusters. They've taken out the thrusters along there. And trying to target these thrusters, they've actually breached a hole into the reactor room itself. Luckily, the reactors themselves don't seem to have taken any hits. So I was very, very fortunate in those terms. Rear gyroscope's doing good. Got some holes up on the top. Cargo container's okay. So I think that's it for the interior. We take any major damage to the upper section? Let me take a look. They breached through the windows here. We just don't need to take that awkward staircase, the awkward ladder. We can just fly in straight through here. At least it's easier to access now. Lost one of the defensive AIs. How did that get destroyed? How is it that this is destroyed when there's no other damage blocks around it? That's bizarre. I'm curious as to how that happened. But otherwise, the rest of the servers seem okay. Server room, good condition. Common room looking good. Medical room has lost conveyancing. We won't be able to get our medical supplies. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Back to helm. Back to battle stations. We still have one more ship to fight. It's not over. He was just far away. Oh, I'm not sure this is the best place to command the ship from, but I'll have to see what I can do. Oh. Let's get the lower artillery on him. Looks like he still has quite a lot of his artillery guns intact as well. I'm trying to get a lock on him so I can see the distance. Main thing's going to be to focus the artillery fire on him, if possible, evading as many of those incoming shots as possible. It's going to be an evasion game. Also having a lot of patience. It's the lower volley. Just trying to get evasive maneuvers going. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be convincing him though. Nah, he's hitting that fine. I got to be stationary and then use the gyros to evade. Oof. That failed. As long as I'm not hitting my turrets, I should win the encounter. In fact, geez, look at those volleys. Does he still have all his turrets? Get the upper turret working as well. Oh dear. Command console's gone off in space. Ah, where am I? I'm actually lost. I have no idea where I actually am. Where am I? How did I get here? I need to get back in before I get shot. Let's use I'm not going to use the emergency backup. Still got this one. It's still good. I can still use the original systems. Where's the enemy? Oh, down below. Lost lock. Oh, I'm out of range. That's good news. He is in my range. I can shoot him, but he can't shoot me. And if he's not getting into close range, he may have lost his engines. And if he has, that's wonderful news. Let's go take a look. Let's get some camera controls. Oh, I didn't have it set up in this one. Jeez, it's terrifying going through all the commands and seeing them all grayed out. Let's see, artillery 3. Control to you. Let's angle down a bit. Let's go take a look. Is he closing in? Does he still have thrust? He's getting closer, but I'm not seeing any hydrogen in those rear thrusters of his. Is it just that I was flying towards him? Because his turrets are still active, but his engines seem to be completely gone. Oof. So I think I do see some thrust coming out of him. Definitely not in the rear. Those wings are definitely lost. His rear hydrogen tank has been crushed at the very least. And I'd be surprised if his front hydrogen tank wasn't destroyed. He is getting closer to me though. He must have one thruster in the back. It might be better if I can ram him than try to get behind him. It's also quite awkward to control the ship because I have no back thrust at this point. Almost no back thrust. That said, I'm ramming him, and he's actually getting further away from me, even though I'm at full speed. So he clearly has some form of back thrust left. I could try to take some manual shot. Have I lost my upper artillery? No. Upper artillery still good. Oh, there goes the second command console. We've lost the second captain. Don't worry, we got 100 more in cryo storage. Bring out the next one. Where am I? Oh, that's I'm in the upper deck. I don't know how I got up here. Here we are. And now for the emergency reserve cockpit. Oh dear. Get a fresh lock. Bring guns up. Have I lost the lower artillery turrets? Oh my god, I think I've only got one turret left. That's actually terrifying. I may lose this. That said, the Herald of Wrath is looking as though it's almost fully disabled. I do still have forward thrust. I've got some left thrust I can see there through the destroyed engines. It's working overdrive to try and give me control of my ship. I'm just trying to reverse thrust as much as I possibly can right now. But I've lost the ability to control range. Oh, do I try to get distance or do I try to ram? I think he is aiming for my turret. There's one turret left. I don't know if I have the firepower to cripple him now. And I'm not sure if I have enough forward thrust to be able to effectively ram him before he can escape. I think the ram's going to be the only option left. I have hull. I need to use it. Alternatively, I could try to get some repairs on the lower artillery. They're not destroyed, they're just disabled. Let's go for the ram. I can't see what I'm doing here at all. I'm approaching him way too slowly. Now he's increasing distance. I can't ram. Alright. Time for emergency repairs then. a little bit risky, don't want to get shot, but that one's only just barely non-functional. Means I have a bit more control of my ship. What I really need is these turrets back up. Oh! Is the other turret completely gone? Yes, I was too late to save it. Give this guy a top up while I'm here. Luckily, getting back inside the ship is quite easy now. This is being a slow, painful exchange here. Saying whose ship's going to run out of internal systems first. 100 meters is not that far off. Can I close in? No. He still has far too much control. I think it's because so much of his ship's damaged that his ship's actually lost a lot of weight and has become maneuverable as a result. He's just churning fire into the core of my ship now. It's not the way I want it to be. I can't see what I'm doing. Seems to have lost some hangar doors as well, which are rattling around. It's very difficult for me to see what I'm doing. Because of that hangar door there, it's interfering with my external camera. Maybe I could maneuver the ship and try to get the hangar door out the actual hangar. That's too slow. If I get to the right, maybe I can, there we go, I can maneuver and aim like this. Still landing hits on him. I'm amazed he's still intact. I cannot control the upper turret. My ship is almost dead drifting. The ion engines are barely working. And looking at my power consumption, it's at 100. I believe he may have crippled the reactors, and now my ion thrusters are barely functioning. I think I might be dead drifting. This might be it. I'm 2 kilometers away. Even if I try to force the forward thrust, I'm slowing down just very barely. Oh, I can't believe it. No, I refuse to give in. Democracy must prevail. AI server's broken. How are these doing? First reactor down, second reactor down, third reactor down. Lost all 3 reactors. So I think that's, I'm probably going to have to technically count that as a loss. But I'm going to repower this anyway, just so I get stuck into him. I'm also going to get rid of these. Actually, no, I won't. Right, where is he? Even with all 3 reactors up, it's still burning 100% of the supply. Oh, he's actually behind me. Being flanked. You can see a lot of shots. He's targeting the power systems again, even though I just repaired them. Again, I can still barely see because of that piece of wood around. That piece of wood, the hangar door. Making it really hard to orientate myself. With the defensive AI is gone. They've got to lock on manually now, I think. He's listening to most of his turrets. See how are the reactors now? Yeah, he just broke all 3 reactors pretty much straight away instantly. That's it. I think I'm gonna. Ah, so close. I think I'm pretty much gonna have to call this a game over. In fact, that's exactly it. I can't control the turrets because. Let's double check that is the case. It's only turret 3. Control. No, I can still see with it. There's so much smoke I can barely check him out. Maybe he does deliver hydrogen, but I just can't see the thrust from here. I'm not sure. He's almost lost his lower fin though. Ah, so close. I think we have to call it there though. I think this is done. I want to do more, but I'm not sure I can. Or any more would be unfaithful, I think. But in case it gave a heroic battle, all situations considered. Oh, you can see what's left of the ship. The entire bridge section's now completely gone. The hangar room is an absolute mess of holes, flying debris. The reactor room is filling to the brim with radiation. And as for the upper section, this is mostly undamaged because there's no core systems here to target. But even so, it's not really livable anymore. And that's it. Press F for respects, I think. And then we have it, the Herald of Wrath. I probably should have tried to abuse the jump drives a little bit more in the early phases. It's allowed my forward railguns to get knocked out too early. They're kind of the main deal breaker because you can often snipe off the turrets, and if you can, it gives you really good long-term advantage in the combat setup. So we'll finish this here for now. And next up, let's go to the waiting room just very briefly. We'll head over there. And give me a moment to sort things out, setting up my game. So as I said before, I was messing around with the factories and ended up building a massive ball of fighters. And I thought to myself, I'm going to spawn a ship and throw it into that ball of fighters to see what will happen. And I expected my computer to crash, but apparently it didn't. And so I managed to get some pretty cool footage out of that. And I do have a save game after the first attempt. I should have saved it before, really. So I'll give that a load up, and then we can see, and we'll see if we can throw in a Corsair frigate into the Moon of Fighters, or what was previously the Moon of Fighters. It's now scattered a bit. It's now more like a massive locust swarm. Oh. I do find the factories quite troublesome, though. It bothers me quite a lot, because originally I thought, oh, if I'm running 4 factories, and I set a ship against the fighters and it crashes, then it must be because the factories are lagging out the game or something like that. So that's why I let the 4 factories just run for like 2 hours. I wanted to kind of see like what the limit was. But even after putting 200 even after having like 100 plus fighters, it still didn't crash. And even sending a ship against them, it didn't crash. Although I was using a much smaller ship than the Herald of Wrath. I tried it with some smaller space fortresses as well, and it did eventually. They were okay against 4 factories. I tried increasing to 8, and then it just crashed pretty much instantly. I've tried it with, as you can see, with the space background. There's a number of mods I have around, just for quality of life and also for aesthetics, like getting rid of the getting rid of the welding lines. So I tried removing all the mods and running it that way, but it was still less than ideal. Okay, the game's loaded, but it's loading in all the fighters rather slowly. I'm not sure how this will work in a stream. Okay, 10 kilometers away should be okay. Let's get our game back. Oh, doesn't seem to be loading. Maybe I need to bring it up directly. There we go. My computer's now running to a crawl. I don't want to run this for too long because it will most likely crash the game. I already see myself getting a little bit slower here. Okay, there we go. I'm back in myself. So where am I? So let's head, let's get into observer mode. And this little blip, that little asteroid belt that you can see in the distance is in fact nothing but fighters. Behold. There does seem to be something of an error, especially when the game starts skipping frames, that fighters will start to shoot and then they forget to stop. So these fighters aren't actually shooting at anything, they just have their turret, they just have their guns left on and firing away. So as you can see, it's something of a... It's quite beautiful in its own special kind of way. But in any case, we have to give them something to shoot at. It seems to only be the Gatling guns that get left on. I need to swap those out for autocannons because they're less processing power consuming. As you can see, they're just flying around randomly, and a lot of them are just randomly crashing. Or occasionally they're just, because they're completely oblivious to the guns that they're firing. So half of them are just like shooting and destroying each other. You see little bits of debris flying away. This incredibly beautiful bedlam. Oh, I wanted to cycle around there. Let's try and get my... Oh, I got a freeze. Is that a crash or will it resume? It resumed. Okay. Walking on the edge. Isn't that beautiful? Well, in any case, I'm going to go back to my player. And I'm going to spawn in a ship. This time I'm going to go for the... I did this before and it didn't crash the game. But with the extra demand from streaming, it might do so. I'm going to take some time to move my guy over a bit to get a bit more visibility on the screen. There we go. Oh. So 999 PCU. This is the Corsair frigate made by Rexcraft. And Rexcraft, I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do to your beautiful ship. He actually has an entire fleet all done in the same style. They're really, really nice. Really want to try and make a PvE fleet out of them. It'd be a fun thing to do. I really like his ship designs because they're actually very, very efficient the way he builds them. But I can see I'm skipping quite a few frames here, even just in my own game. So we'll head in. I'll need to check a few settings before we send it off. I wouldn't bother closing the doors. Oh, the game's running at about 66% speed, I'd say. Oh, I pressed tab and it didn't like it. Oh, there we go. A little slow on the turning. That's not going to matter too much. So 9 kilometers, the defense point. That's where the fighters are. So let's do some last check-ons. Defensive AI. I'm actually just going to leave that off just to try and save on a little bit. Every single piece of processing power I can. Next, turrets. They're all on. 800 meters, all looking good. Everything belongs to me, so I should be shot at when I go. So I'm just going to push this forward. I'm going to turn off the initial adapters. I'm just going to let it go straight through that swarm of fighters, and we'll see what comes out the other side. $60 meters, 70, 80, 90, 100, and dampeners off. Do you have a camera on this? We do. We've got some railguns. We'll have to see if we can cut a path through the center of the swarm. See all those little sparkles of light. There's random Gatlings firing off for no reason. Kind of reminds me of the orcs from 40k. Just, I was going to shoot just because I like the sound of the gun. Ba 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 bam. Daka daka daka. Oh, freeze. Not crashed yet. 7.7 kilometers out. It's going to be a while. It won't be until we get to around 3-4 kilometers that we're going to start seeing ships coming in on us. Do have a while to wait. I really do like seeing the little red spotlights coming out the front of these ships. It's something I should probably get rid of because spotlights are supposedly quite processor power consuming. Because unlike the interior lights and such, they cast shadows. And when you have 200 ships with spotlights casting shadows, that's going to put a demand on. So I'll probably have to eventually turn those off or replace them with something else. I was thinking I might put an event block in the very, very front of the ship. And then when the event block completes, then it could give a command to the printer. But I've got a new version of the factory running now, which wouldn't require that, I suppose. Where are we? 5.4. Won't be too long until they start locking on and turning towards us. And we'll see what happens as a result. Okay, what else is going on? The way I built the new factories is I went online and I found a rotary factory design that I'll talk through about later. Another freeze. Still going just. Nope, it's just one of the ships exploding randomly. I took one of the rotary printers off the workshop and I studied it to learn about using the sensor to make the welder bounce by detecting the subgrid underneath it. That helps to stop the printer from getting rammed by the ship it's building when it turns to its side. I had some other issues as well. I was able to solve those by putting a wall. Oh, we're getting into targeting range now. We've already got some shots. I'm in camera. External view. What we got? Something underneath us. Hardly started and already something is smoking. Okay. I'm in railgun range. Let's work it. I saw the blue. Oh, there we go. Oh, it slid through all of them. All 6 shots slid through. I was hoping to cut a path, but I guess we're doomed. We'll see how this goes. Rockets coming in. Got 2 underneath, 3 underneath, 4 underneath, 5. Actually, no, it's more like 10 if you include the ones in the distance. Another freeze. Not sure how long this will last. I really should be a lot less ambitious in... Oh, look at that missile swarm coming in. I should probably be less ambitious with my streaming projects, but I can't help resist showing this. All the missiles are now invisible because there's just too many of them. The game can't load the missile. Oh, there we go. See some sparks of white? Oh, that's just the sun glinting off the ships. Rexcraft, I'm so sorry. Your ship deserved better. Am I gonna ram something through this? No. The front of the ship's already complete dust. Not even sure where I am relative to the ship. I think I'm top middle. See, it's fine. No problem. I am a leaf upon the wind. Where I was until my hydrogen tank exploded. Times 2. I still got hydrogen supply though. This is fine. This is fine. Wow, we actually managed to get through it. If we can get through this and we still have some of our engines intact, I'll be very impressed. With the amount of autocannon fire coming in the back, I doubt it. And it seems we've made a pass through the swarm. They will be chasing us, however. Incredibly, the CIC is still intact, despite being only... Oh, spoke too soon. CIC is broken. Let's see, my dampeners are aligned. Let's go see the outside of this. Oh, I can't escape. Is there a broken window I can get out of? Here we are. Like a bird flying into the glass. Another freeze. Gives them time to catch up. Just realized my combat music playlist wasn't set to loop. Let's be careful of that in future. Hey, I still got one hydrogen tank. It's still intact. Do we still have thrust here, or is this on fire? Oh yeah, see, we still have thrust. We're fine. We're fine. It's all good. We just have to somehow limp the ship towards the nearest repair facility. Right, we seem to have caught a hanger-on. What's happening over here? This guy has... He's lost his hydrogen tank from something. And he's just drifting along at 100 meters per second. I think we rammed into him and gave him the inertia to drift along with us. And now he's here just chilling out and rocketing the ship. Well, there goes the reactor system. And that's all that's left of our crusade. That did surprisingly well, actually. Take a look at some of the interior in here. See, these blast blocks probably helped a huge deal. These things are incredibly resilient. 99%, 48, 55. It would have made a big difference. This bit's all snapped off, though. It's a disadvantage with these. Sometimes they snap off. I think in this case, it's definitely served his ship very well. Oh. Oh, no, it's weird to see how the living quarters is. Oh. We're still at the vending machine. That's fine. I can still drink some cola. All's good. Perhaps not. Maybe I don't have enough money for it. Thank you for purchase. Or maybe it's just thinking. I hear Gatling gun sounds. Is that him or me? Must be him. I don't think our ship could be shooting anything. Seeing slowly drift away. I'm going to poke out the last remains of the batteries. In any case, that was the fighter swarm. So I'll leave that here for now. Interesting to watch. I probably have to, when I get the VOD, I'm probably going to take that footage and then speed it up to put it back to normal speed. I'll have to see how that goes. Okay then. So I'll get out of that game for the moment. Where are we? I'll just show the new factory design I've been working on very briefly, as well as how the old ones turned out as well. Give me 2 minutes to get the fresh game up. Also try switching out some of the playlist as well. Where are we? Building music. Which one's nice? This'll do. This'll do. Some nostalgic kind of lo-fi going on. Okay. Cool. Want to get back there. Sorry, I was just trying to check on some of the technical systems, checking the chat and all the overlays working correctly. Oh. So just stretching out for a bit. It's 2 hours of focus, getting a bit tired on it. 50%, almost there. I think what else to say. So anyway, the reason I'm working on this new variant of the factory, because I want to see if I can set up a battle where we can have endless fighters coming out and not crashing. I've got the game loaded, so I'll take a look there. Here we are. So very briefly, we'll take a look at the old version. So the previous system I was using was this, utilizing 5 welders, goes down, builds, pulls up as it rotates around. Build it very, very quickly, very efficiently. The whole process was about 70 seconds, which isn't too bad. But it does utilize 5 welders, and these are very, very, very demanding on processing power. I can tell because when the ship's running, then because when the factory is running and the welders are clicking away, you can feel the game slowly get more and more jittery. You can feel the loss of frames per second. So I wanted to make a new one with just a single welder using the system. And the inspiration for this was the rotary printer. This is made by Pro 100 TV. Has a lot of very good stuff. She's very, very good with the drone construction. She's a lot of very cool drones. And she built this printer to make those. Let's take a look at her creation quickly. You can see the setup that we have there. The printer there is activated straight away. You can see how it operates. So this one uses 2 rotors, one to spin the arms, and the second to do an opposite spinning for the actual construction progress itself. And you can see them bouncing up and down here. And this is caused by the sensor here. The sensor is set to detect the subgrid. When it detects the subgrid, it reverses the hinge. It reverses the vertical pistons that we see at the back there. And then when it stops detecting a subgrid, it reverses it again. So it detects, goes up. Stops detecting, goes back down. And that's what causes it to go up and down constantly like this. And it's really nice because no matter what the shape of the ship is, the welders will automatically adjust their height to start constructing along. Although trying to implement this system in my own factories, I did find that there was one disadvantage with this system. When you have a turret, let's give the small grid example here. Let's see if I can stick that on somewhere just as a quick demonstration. Nope, doesn't want to. There's much detailing won't fit on. There. Able to place, doesn't want to. Okay, I'll leave that for now. The main thing being that when you look at the turret here, you can see the hitbox is very, very, very tall. And this gets detected by the sensor. You can see the yellow sensor there. It gets detected very, very early on. And this means that when the welder is bouncing up and down, it does so from up here. And when the welder goes along, it will build this, because it builds both to the back and the front, it will build this early on. And then when it starts moving over it, it then starts bouncing up and down over here. And the result is that it ends up not building the blocks which are underneath the turret. But I managed to find a way around it. The first idea I had was try and use two projectors, one to project the core ship, and second to project the turret. Same version, but the same version with the turrets on the top. And I'd have the piston rotor go along forwards to build it, and then go back and build the turrets, was the idea I had. And it kind of worked, but I ended up thinking up a much better way to do it, which was to simply put this wall here, so that when the welder goes along, it won't build the turrets until the turrets are behind it, because the turrets are quite wide. So we can use that to our advantage. In any case, I'll give this a quick reset if I can remember how. Just to show how that's working. One is gone. Why is one? One is the welder, as it should be. That's what we need to do. First, we need to launch the ship. On sequence timer. Go. Next, I need to... This is the system that we had here. Okay, the rotor's reset. That's good. I need to pull back the hinge here. I'll turn off the sensor. Get the welder back down. Get the projector off. With that coming in, I'm just going to accelerate this just a little bit. Whoops. So we'll see how this builds as it goes along. Let's get the project. So let's get welder off first. So projector on, and then we want the sensor on. It's not bouncing, but it should be. It should be detecting us upward. We'll then put the welder on and see what happens next. And now it's starting to bounce. And I give it one full rotation at the back first, which takes about 7.5 seconds. You can see the welder adjusting its height there as it builds around. Then once it does one full rotation, I then start the forward piston at the top to extend there. So as you can see, it delays building the turrets until after it's passed by them. And this ensures that the welder stays close to the ship that's trying to weld. Satisfying. I have the first third of the logic on this setup. The rest of it I don't. I don't think I'll go through that today. I'm a little bit tired from all the focusing earlier. And that's the construction process done. So the next step is go through to decrease the speed of the rotor, and then lock it in place. Then have to raise the hinge, and then launch the fighter. We're back to the start. The rotor lock is still on. Just checking that's unwinding correctly, and it has. Okay, so there we go. That's how the new version of the printer works. Once I finish automating it, I'll probably add it into the WebF save file so people can have a go with it. I haven't stress tested this yet either. I was really hoping to get the last 3 logic blocks here finished before the stream today, but I just wasn't quite able to do it. But I don't think this is ready. What we got? 2.5 hours in. I'm trying to make the stream too long. We could have a go. Maybe. I think I'll leave it for now. Go through the setup later. Anything else to go through? I think that's it. We'll just finish there. Well, let's give a quick demonstration of some of the settings that we have on this. For the sensor, detects 3.8 meters below, which is very, very close to the tip. If you want to be a bit safer, you can use 4.2 to make it stay further away, so it's less likely to get hit by the builder as it goes around. And there's the settings that we have along there. Detect subgrids on, everything else off. So that's the key to that, really. That's all we have. In any case, some other projects that I've been working on recently. Just want to go a little bit further away from that fleet there. We don't get ships shooting each other. Let's showcase a little bit more. Oops. I started building something that I refer to as a potato cruiser. So I've been wanting to start trying to making a series of ships which are very, very processor friendly. Because mostly what I want to be doing is finding really cool ships in the workshop and then having some generic NPC ships for them to blow up. But I want in order to showcase the biggest possible ships, then I need the NPC ships to be very processor friendly. For the current ones I've been using at the moment, let's go find one of these. This will do. Because comparing the two, you can see this one has so much more detailing. It's got lighting, it's got far more complex shapes on it, it's got different color schemes. Lots of different color schemes not being an issue, but generally just the amount of surfaces is quite maximized. And it's a lot more to kind of process. Whereas this thing, the whole thing is almost entirely just armor blocks. Between this ship, we're looking at around 8,000. This one, we're looking at 7,500, despite having twice the turrets. If we peel the turrets off, this will be about half the PCU of that ship. Don't really have the other one in yet. This is the other sort of super simplified design I've been making. Feels kind of criminal making a ship and then kind of intentionally making it dull in a way. In this case, I've gone way overboard in the turrets. This is just a messing around example. I'll probably have a lot less turrets in the final thing. And there could be some nice things for enemies to fight. Some other prospects I've been working on. Got a missile destroyer which is in progress, got the internals mostly sorted. You can see a lot of the internal structures along there. Standard ship core. I've copy pasted some of the Zeta torpedo arrays. One of the things I'm wanting to try to possibly combine later. Let's go find the standard torpedoes and discuss that for a moment. With the torpedoes like this, often, let's get a quick example of the shape I want to talk about. When people first started making the torpedoes style using the AI blocks, they mostly focused on a 2x2 shape and needed quite a lot of conveyors, which increased the PCU. And it's actually much better because it prevents a far smaller profile for being shot, which makes it harder to shoot down. So the 2x2 torpedo shape was generally better than the 3x3. But the problem with the 2x2 torpedo structure was that you needed 2 welders to build it. Whereas when you have this kind of box shape, you only need 1 welder to construct it. But this thing got me to thinking about the way that I structure the printers. Let's go find a Zeta array. Just moving. No, okay, good. Having the structures as they are. So let's get this and start up for a quick demo. Which is build, launch, build, there we go. So you can see the structure here and how I'm trying to build the torpedoes by having one welder just drag itself up through the 5 things. So I'm getting 5 torpedoes out of one welder. But if I were to take this kind of process and then combine it with the new style of fighter factory printer, where I'm using the sensor to make it bounce as well as using the 2 pistons to move it along. Because in theory, instead of having 3 welders on 1 piston, I could have 1 piston for left and right and 1 piston for up and down. So I could go down, build upwards. I'd have to start on this side. So it would come across, it would go down, build up the first set of torpedoes, go down, build the second set of torpedoes, go down, build the third set of torpedoes. So potentially I could build 12 torpedoes using just the 1 welder on 2 pistons. But then the other thing I thought was that instead of having it like this, what if you had a 3x3 grid and you just had 1 welder and you rotated it using a sensor to make it bounce? If you had that, you could have 1 welder quite easily build 1 welder with 1 piston build 9 torpedoes quite effectively. And I then thought, what if you use the same system of having the welder go forwards at the same time? So in the same way that I'm building the long fighter, I could build the rows of torpedoes forwards as well. So I'd have 1 set of torpedoes here, 2nd set of torpedoes here, 3rd set of torpedoes here, and have a horizontal piston pushing it outwards like this, so it would be building the torpedoes forwards. Although to do that, let's get these open for a moment. I'll then have to figure out a way of, let's go find a merge block. Find something I can stick on. It would be very PCU costly. It would be very efficient in terms of the ship's actual design itself. Is that where? That one. Doesn't seem to be on quite right. There we go. I'm thinking something like this. We'd set up 3x3 and then we attach by here for 3x3. And attaching a 3rd set 3x3. So you'd have a cube of 3x3x3, giving 27 torpedoes, all as 1 single grid. Although doing this, I would also need to have connectors going all the way through the torpedoes from the 1st to the 2nd to the 3rd in order to fuel them up. So that would add to the PCU cost a lot. It would be very PCU expensive. And then my thought after that was having the cube. And then we launch out the cube, and then once it's outside, we'll use override thrusters on very low settings on the bottom and the side thrusters, just to gently then separate them, just to make them all separate away. First the back ones, and then the middle ones, and finally the end ones, because the forward torpedoes would still have the initial override thrust continuing, so they would accelerate faster than the ones behind. So you'd have the cube come out, and then you'd have 8 torpedoes break off. We would go forward a bit, getting faster. And the next set of torpedoes would break off in 8 directions. You go forward a bit more, then the last 8 torpedoes would break off in 8 directions. And after a while, the torpedoes would then activate their AI. They would then activate their AI very slowly, one by one, so that they would all launch themselves in a slow stream towards the nearest enemy ship. And that way you could condense 27 torpedoes and you could fire them through just 2 doors, and you could build them all using just 1 welder. So that's the idea we got for the future, but I feel like I can't really go through that now. I really wanted to do that. It's on my to-do list for this stream, but I'm feeling pretty drained at the moment, so I'm gonna leave this one here, and I think we will finish for today. So head back to our waiting room. And that's all. If you have any questions or any requests, either on getting ships and putting them into a PV wave defense, if you want your ships to say, oh, take a look at my ship, go put it in, go set it against a battleship or something. I'm very happy to do that. If you want to build a fleet and set them against things, I'm very happy doing that as well. So I mostly want to make NPC ships for players to test their own ships against. Because it's one of the fun things about space engineers, just doing iterative testing. You build a ship, you make it fight a copy of itself, and you see what does and doesn't work. And each time you just keep upgrading it and upgrading it until you can't upgrade it anymore. And then you start building a new ship with the new information you've learned. And it's just a really satisfying process. It's just really satisfying. I know that a lot of other space engineer players do that as well. And they do what I'm kind of doing here as well. So I'm hoping we can kind of try to consolidate our thoughts, get a lot of things together. Could be really nice. I'll put the Steam IDs for the ships that came up. You can see them in the replay here as well. Because I do show them. I believe it shows the Steam ID when you hit F10 or something. I'm gonna check that real quick. Just want to make sure that I show player the Steam IDs of the ships I made, just because it's nice to reference stuff. Herald of Wrath. No, it doesn't show the Steam ID. Okay, I'll put the Steam ID into the description below once I finish the video. But otherwise, that's all. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next Saturday at 3 p.m. Hope you have some more interesting stuff to check through. Thank you and goodbye. Oh, hello. Someone said hello. I didn't even see them there. Odd second end. And good to see you there. Oops. Just closed down my chat restream. Very nice to see you. And thank you for coming. It's a shame you joined in right at the end. If you come at 3 p.m. GMT next Saturday, then I'll be able to see you then. Thank you for watching. Please do check out the VOD, because I had some pretty cool things going on in this. I feel like this particular episode probably would have been best seen on replay anyway, because the game was slowing down so much during the high intensity periods. But anyway, I should go, so I'll see you guys later. Bye.